I don't know. I don't do this stuff.
Yeah, man. Well, look, one very first thing I thought of, I was like, which shirt is he going to wear?
Actually, I had a shirt on that didn't have anything to do with Pinnacle or anything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my wife, she was like, "You're not even wearing a Pinnacle shirt." I'm like, "Oh, I guess I should change, shouldn't I?"
You got like, I mean, you've got like 400 designs, man. And so
yeah,
first thing in my mind this morning, I said, I wonder which one he's going to wear.
One of the new ones.
Yeah.
Obviously one of the new ones.
Yeah, looks good, man. It's kind of like a well, I was going to say it almost looks like a retro Nintendo kind of thing, but that's kind
of what I intend. All the brands in skating right now, they use their logo.
Yeah.
And it's different colors, different, maybe a background on it or a line around it or whatever, double color, but it's all basic. A couple of years ago, I was like, I'm going outside the box of what we use now or what everybody uses. And I'm going like, going to go past my logo and just use whatever.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you obviously, a lot of your stuff draws from pop culture.
Yep.
And I mean,
most people don't even understand, they're like, well, why are you doing that? It doesn't have your logo. I'm like, but now someone can buy this shirt and wear it out to dinner and not be like, it's just the same logo.
Yeah. It's just a skating shirt.
Correct.
Like, I mean, how many of those did we have when we were younger and you just kind of toss them away?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I wear them now to work in. When I get glue and paint on them, I'm tossed.
Well, I'm sure you got a small warehouse full of them.
Yeah, I'm actually, in adding all these other stuff, lately, I need a bigger area. So
like with your, I mean, you could tell like through the manufacturing, like of your boots, like you draw, like, especially with the, I know everybody can pick things like that. They can, this color, that color, but watching some of your designs, it almost feels like you're drawing kind of on a time from the past. Like you're
somewhat. Yeah, somewhat. The overall design that I have right now, the basic design, I've had for 4 or 5 years now. And I want to change it, but every time I like come up with something new and kind of show people on the side, they're like, yeah, I like the old one. And I'm like, so I'm like, well, okay, what about this? Nope, I like the old one. And I'm like, it's people see what they like and I think they're used to it. They don't like to change. So I've got this new one that I'm kind of slowly rolling out, but it's very simple. It's the 25th anniversary. So it's kind of a black, it's simple, clean lines, not much to it. And I want to throw it back to 25 years ago, just a simple design.
Yeah. It's really, I always skated on Simmons.
Yep.
And it was funny to me is, obviously the way skates and everything evolved was pretty rapid in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh yeah. I mean, we went from, Rydell 100s, plastic boots, and then within 3 years we're, on custom stuff.
Yeah. Fully customized carbon bottoms. Correct. And everything.
And they're put together by people that really don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
We're just kind of throwing everything together. And, it really kind of was crazy what the levels of what we skated on back then. The Rydell 201s, and then you get the Rydell 100s, which was the hard plastic. Then the 201s, that was like basically just a quad boot that was hard on the sides.
Yeah.
Those things were so uncomfortable, but that's what we had.
Yeah. I never one time, I guess, very fortunate. I got started a little bit later. So like I was talking to Joey Colazzo on Tuesday, and I never skated quads.
Okay.
I went straight to inlines, and like I started like right when you could get the carbon fiber, lower, leather upper boots. Rydell was not the only option at this
Yeah.
point.
So like what, 94?
I started skating, I think, 94. I was 12.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in the 92, 93, that's where it was really the huge, like, what do we do? These, we have to do something.
Yeah.
And all the manufacturers at that time, I wasn't manufacturing. I was 12 at that time.
Yeah.
But, everybody's like, what do we do? How do we make it better? And I think a lot of stuff came from ice, obviously, but then ice at that time didn't really have hard boots.
No, they had that. I remember Chad bringing in one day. Of course, we got to see all the crazy stuff that was, because everybody's giving Chad free things left and right. He brought in a Viking boot.
Oh yeah,
and he tried skating on that.
Really? I have one circa that time.
It's got to be. It's got to feel like it's. I mean, it's like Jello. I mean, it's just the thing is there's nothing there
to it. Yeah, even the arch, they don't have any support.
Yeah,
I don't know how people skated on it. I give big, massive props to anybody that skated on it back then. So
yeah, I don't know. Maybe if it was the technology that went along with the tubes and the blades and everything, that they just, I don't know. Maybe they were stronger, so the tube and everything was more rigid, or the blade was more rigid versus, I don't know.
I don't think so. I mean, it was mounted to front and back. That there wasn't the clap.
Yeah,
but man, it was not. I don't know how people did it.
Yeah, well, I think he tried skating on it. Obviously, you're not skating indoor on it.
Correct. Yeah, you're skating on 400 meter, a big oval. You don't have the same corners.
Yeah,
he
did take it outdoors, and I mean, I think he still beat the shit out of us.
Probably,
but that's just Chad.
Correct.
So when did you start manufacturing?
We started in the summer of '96.
So as your family, like your dad and everything? Okay.
Kind of. So in probably 95, sometime in 95, late 95, mid 95, something like that. And the equipment we had back then, it was, Dave was still, was starting out.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Rydells, you have the Bonts, you have the wraps, all that stuff. A lot of people were on Bonts then. The old school, like tuxedo, stuff like that. And they just broke down. So there was a guy named Jeff Green. He was a rink rat. He had just gone to work. Well, I say when he graduated, he went to start working in prosthetics and orthotics. So what he did is we brought him to him, and he would just lay some fiberglass on the sides, peel up the leather, lay fiberglass on the sides, throw it back down. Every single time he did it, he's like, these things are crap. I can give you, we could make it so much better of a skate. And every time we laughed. But then after 10 or so, he was like, I really think I can make it better. So we started. And I mean, it was crude, but he molded my foot. I don't even know where we were, but he molded my foot. And then a week later, 2 weeks later, he came in and said, here you go. And I skated on it for about 45 seconds. It hurt so bad. He did the modification to the plaster that he would do on a prosthetic, which is a lot of relief on bones. So there's no pressure, especially with a prosthetic. You have scar tissue and stuff like that you have to watch out for. What's not the same on feet. So you can actually keep the pressure on the bones and the pressure points and stuff like that. So went back to the drawing board, made the second one, and it was, I mean, I could skate on it. I skated on it for weeks at that point. And so it was just that much better. And then I think the third one came, and we're probably 2 months in at that time. The third one came, and I skated on it for months. So, and then started doing it for people on the team, our local team, Roswell Speed Team. So I think one of the investors, if you will, Jeff Marcus, his kids skated. So his kids got a pair. and then another kid that had foot problems on our team, Clint Franklin. It was actually one of my brother's best friends. He had major foot problems, and so made one for him, and it helped. It helped him skate. So after 10 or so were made, most of the people on the team, they were like, hey, how much is materials? We'll pay for materials, whatever. But it's all prototyping. I've talked to Dave, I've talked to Brad, when they started, same thing. It's like, hey, this one works great. This one doesn't, throw it away. This one doesn't, throw it away. This one doesn't, throw it. So, but and then it was the very end of 96 that we started selling to the public. So
do you think, I mean, you used yourself as a guinea pig?
Yeah, and I was literally just a guinea pig.
Yeah.
My dad threw in some funds for prototyping, for materials, stuff like that. Jeff Green, who was really the brains of it, he threw in his knowledge and his time, and Jeff Marcus threw in funds. Once we figured out we could do it, or they could, once they figured out Jeff could do it, there was a building that was built on the side of the rink that was used as old nursery, and then it was just empty. It was storage. We cleaned that out and brought some supplies in there, and brought some machines in there, sewing machines, stuff like that. I mean, making a boot. I don't know if you've been to, back in the day you went to Dave's. Well, actually you did. Yeah. So it's all like hand tools.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It's all handmade stuff. Other than sewing machines, it's all handmade stuff.
Yeah.
And tables. So we brought some stuff in there, and at that point I was curious. So I was 16 years old. I was like, well, I want to watch. So I got given the chance to cut leather out, glue leather, learn how to sew, cut tongues out, grind on the padding, and then it just kind of progressed from there.
Did you guys sit there and how did you come up with the templates for a lot of this stuff? I mean, you said it was trial and error, but I mean, when you're talking about the skins for the boots and all the other stuff, for example, what I was going to say earlier is, when skates were okay, where do you go from here? What do you do? I remember when Dave started putting what he called a little hot dog on the side of the boot, where it was where your boot would smack the ground. Yep. That was just to him, it was one of the greatest things out there. It was so revolutionary.
You can come in here. She's like, no. She's running errands.
Yeah. So. But so, yeah. So you're, it's incremental little changes, but you guys are starting from complete scratch. So yeah. What did you have to create a template? So obviously you have the foot shape, and then you kind of, okay, where to go from there? Yeah. A lot of it is look at what is out right now. And, back in 96, they were all crude. Look at what's out right now. Look at was out last year. Look at what was the year before. And it just kind of, it kept going from there. Cut the leather out, glue it on. Yeah, that doesn't look good. We got to trim part of it right here. Pull that leather off. Cut it out, redo it, put it on. Okay, that's too short. And it's a lot of trial and error. Now that I have templates, even when I change something, even when I change the whole design of the boot, I still have the basic template of how it's going to lay on a foot, but back then it was trial and error. And I mean, I still have templates from 20 years ago. I'll never use again, but I have just, What you do now is largely custom, or do you actually mass produce? So
it's not mass produced. They're all, handmade one at a time, obviously, but even stock boots, even if it's just a stock boot that's black with whatever color embroidery, it's still handmade, every piece cut out, one at a time, basically. So it's not custom, but they're manufactured for each person, basically.
How many iterations would you say you've gone through?
Oh man, total designs, probably 15. Like,
In 25 years,
full designs, maybe 12 to 15, something like that. Full designs of, here you go. This is what I'm going to build for years. And then in that 12 to 15, add 2 or 3 variations almost per design, because 6 months in, it's like, okay, well, this is not it's not laying how we want. So cut this off, adjust this, stuff like that. It's just like a car, every 2 years, even if a model year is 8 years, every 2 years they change the headlights, or they change the front bumper, or, something like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, there's been a lot. I mean, even right now I have, between my ice boot, long track ice boot, short track ice boot, inline boot, the custom boot versus the stock boot, it's a little bit different. The quad boots, and then in all those, there's variations of the design. So I mean, right now, if I laid everything out, I'd probably have, whether it's with a full lace cover, because that's kind of hot right now. People want the zip lace cover on inlines or quads. Just kind of to look different. So if I laid out what I do, I'm 10, 12 right now. And they all look similar, but they're all a little bit different.
Okay. Well, are you getting a lot of crossover right now? I mean, are a lot of people, well, I mean, let's back this up a little bit. Have you had anybody that skated on your boots, on inline? Because obviously the main purpose of your boots in the very beginning were inline. Look at that Mickey Cup.
Yeah.
You guys are obsessed with Disneyland.
I actually, one of my customers gave this to me.
Yeah. How many times a year do you guys go?
Lately, not so much.
Yeah, COVID. Yeah.
No, we just, the kids kind of got burnt out. And COVID, it's kind of, it's not the same as it was.
Yeah.
It used to be, it's a 7-hour drive. We had annual passes for 4 years. So, you pay once and you go. And for me, I'm cheap. I'm like, if I'm paying that, I'm going 8 times, 9 times a year. I'm getting my money.
Yeah.
So, but now, with it, the last time we had the passes, when we were going to re-up, they actually walked in, and about half a day, I was like, okay, what do we want to do? I don't know. Well, you want to do this? No, you want to do this? No. Okay. What about this? Well, we did that last time. So it was time. It's like, okay, well, we've been here too much. And we've been a couple more times since then. Me and the wife went back in October, just me and her. So it was fun. It was rainy, so it kind of sucked, but it was fun.
When you guys go down there, do you stay in hotels, or you guys take your travel trailer or anything like that?
Nope. Don't have a travel trailer. Had one, got rid of it. We just didn't use it much.
Yeah.
But usually hotels.
Okay.
So,
well, yeah, I mean, in Orlando, they like, they're very proud of their hotels and the costs of everything.
Yeah. Especially on property.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yes, they are. And I don't get it. I mean, the hotels are awesome, but if you're going to the parks, you're staying in the hotel for like 6 hours.
Right. You're sleeping there. You're showering there.
And that, as long as it's not, a Motel 6. Yeah. We're good. My wife's a little bougie when it comes to hotels. But, I don't blame her. I don't blame her at all. So we have to have a nice one, but
you guys, when you guys go down there, you just straight do Disney, or you guys go to Universal, or?
We do both.
Yeah.
We do both. Last year we went to Universal for 4 days. She was a travel agent for a couple of years. And so, every so often you get these deals. We went last year for 4 or 5 days, and it was just fun. I mean, it was a blast.
Yeah.
The kids are getting old. Since they're getting older, they like the bigger roller coasters, stuff like that. So, which Disney does not really have.
Yeah, like the Hulk. I mean, look, like the Harry Potter ride. Yeah. I mean, that whole thing it's not a super long ride, but I mean, the whole thing is a trip. Like, it's an experience, man.
Oh, I mean, between the queues, walking in and just standing in line, you're still interactive.
Yeah.
So, and that's what the big theme parks are designed for. It's an immersion in everything.
Yeah.
The Star Wars stuff at Disney.
Oh,
I mean,
I haven't
the
gone
whole
yet.
we just went in October. That's the first time we experienced it. I mean, you walk in line and you're literally immersed in Star Wars everything. You're walking through the halls, of a space cruiser, or one of the bars. I mean, it really is. It's awesome.
Yeah, I was talking with Danae Welton, and she was recently down there with her kiddo. And man, just like she was like some of the pictures that she would send over and show this stuff. I was like, God dang, man. They were just I went down there. I was there in November of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And they were just building or finishing up the Lost Isley port area, where kind of like the gondolas come in and out of.
Yep.
Was it Hollywood?
Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, right at the entrance of Hollywood Studios is a drop off for the gondolas and things like that. They were just like it was still concrete outside. It was unfinished stucco. It hadn't even been painted yet. So but you could tell, it was just I was getting excited. Like my son was with me and he was like, well, what's Star Wars?
Right.
He understands it because obviously at 19 years old now, even at that time he was 16 or 17, it's still cool just because, he sees the movies and that kind of stuff.
Star Wars is cool now.
But now, but he didn't get it. I mean, granted, what was it? The very first one, or episode 4 or whatever it's called, that came out before we were
born. Yeah, it was 77.
77. I thought I'd say 70, 78. But you start hitting Return of the Jedi, and that stuff's that's ingrained in who we are as adults.
Our kid, as a kid, we could watch those things.
Yeah, so, they were some of those movies that we could watch with our parents that weren't.
Yep.
Because back in those days, I mean,
you had cartoons or you had movies, and you don't watch movies.
There was nothing. Yeah, you weren't getting to watch movies mostly because they weren't making for kids. Correct. And there's no filter on. I mean, half the movies that they made back then, they couldn't make today.
Correct. Yep.
I watched. Okay, so the Joe Rogan thing going on right now with the whole N-word and all this stuff. Yep. So, I watched 48 Hours and another 48 Hours with Eddie Murphy and Nick Nolte.
Oh, dude, no way.
Dude, I'm sitting here.
They'd be canceled.
Oh yeah. Nick Nolte literally calls Eddie Murphy the N-word 3 times and uses the hard R at the very end. And you're like, and it's a movie, it's comedy, it's Eddie Murphy. I mean, he's one of the biggest stars in the world.
But you can't do it now.
No, and I'm not sure, even if I'm curious. Look, I mean, someone like Eddie Murphy, they're artists, they're comedians, they understand the world a little bit differently, they look at things a little bit differently. I'm curious if I doubt Nick Nolte got brain damage, so he probably doesn't even look at that and think anything about it. But I wonder if Eddie Murphy, he didn't say it, but I wonder if he goes back and watches a movie like that and it's
cringe.
Yeah.
Or if he was okay with it back then. It's okay, it's a movie, but are you really okay with it?
Well, I mean, I watched a skit. There's a skit with it's a Saturday Night Live skit with Chevy Chase and Richard Pryor.
It's rough.
They're going back and forth and calling each other names.
And you can kind of see the tension.
Yeah.
You really see the tension. And it's this is supposed to be funny, but it's not.
You could see Richard Pryor, I think Chevy Chase even you could tell he was a little uncomfortable saying some of the stuff. And though he's saying it, he's buying into it. And then Richard Pryor is ramping up.
Yeah, when you could see the anger and just him getting heated. And I mean, I don't know, it's things like that. You couldn't do it today.
No. I mean, what, even going back to just another 48 hours, take away like the racial stuff between those two, the way that they, I mean, God, the way they talk about women, you know, in the terms they use for women, and you're like, wow. And again, those are movies that, you know, we grew
We
up
grew up
as,
to.
so we don't think anything about it. But now, just in the context of a lot of stuff, you're just like, God damn, there's no way they could have done that.
And then you have the generations, maybe not the full generation before us, but right before us, what they experienced too.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, you don't say it. It's not like, today kids are like, whoa, but back, now we're like, yeah, you don't say it. It's just, it's a respect thing. You don't say it.
You know, I compare a lot of like this to just kind of the general behavior of my son. He's 19,
Yep.
and in his generation, in his life, like he grew up in Texas. He's made certain, well, non-traditional life decisions, things like that. Totally cool, as long as he's happy, whatever. Um, but like, he's conservative, growing up here in
Hmm.
Texas, kind of like you guys there in Georgia. Um, but his compliance to certain things is just, it's a little more freely given. Like,
Yes.
you go down to Disney, you're gonna, like, if you want to go to Disney and enjoy it right now in any capacity, you're wearing a mask.
Yep.
Like, you don't have a choice, but there's really no other option to Disney.
Yeah.
Um,
And if you don't, you're getting kicked out.
right. Yeah. Sayonara. But
Yeah.
like, you go to like, one grocery store and they make you wear a mask. You're like, okay, well, no big deal. There's 5 more over here that they're not
I
going to
can go
require.
there.
Right. My son, on the other hand, he's just a little more compliant. He's like, well, no, I want to go to this grocery store, and he'll have his mask in his back pocket or something like that. And as opposed, so like, if we go into the store, like, I'm like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna get kicked out. We're gonna run this risk. He's gonna put the
So
mask on.
so that's kind of how I am. I don't wear masks unless I absolutely have to.
Right.
Like, obviously, like you in Texas, and most of Texas, most of the South.
Yeah.
I don't like to be super close to people anyway,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna stay away. So hey, get out of my bubble. I'm good. But my back when COVID, when we started school in 2000, I guess the end of 2000, because we started back to school. Um, my middle child masked the whole time. He would have it on when he got out of the car, when he got off the bus, he would have it on, and he would walk in here and walk in the house and walk around with it on. He just, he was okay. I have to wear it, which is great because he's listening to his teachers. But my oldest, who now is almost 15, he was like, I'm not wearing a mask. My friends don't wear a mask. I'm not wearing a mask. So, it's peer pressure. And then, my
Yeah.
daughter, who's the youngest, I mean, she was just like, I lost my mask. I lost 3 masks today, so I don't have a mask. Okay.
Have you noticed, again, hey, it's the weirdest thing in our lives. I mean, we're 40. That's not really that old in the grand scheme of things.
No.
I mean, I certainly don't feel old at all. I feel better. Actually, I feel better than when I was 18.
Yep.
But it feels odd to say that, we grew up in an environment where, like, it's still, like, thinking about it today, it was very unrestricted. It was almost like the Wild West compared to what we live in today. Do you notice, I mean, you have a 15-year-old, you've got 2 kids that are a little bit younger, down into grade school and everything. Have you noticed, a change, like, between, say, your oldest and your youngest? Do you notice, like, where they just maybe feel, where you just don't feel like maybe they were anything like what you were able to do when you were?
Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, and it's partially society. Would you let your kids, I mean, I know you have a 19-year-old, but I know you have some younger too.
Yeah.
Um, would you let them walk down the street at, how old my kids are right now? I won't let them walk down the street right now. We live on a main road. We don't live in a neighborhood.
Yeah.
But I won't let them walk down the street because I don't know who's driving on my street. If we're in a neighborhood, it'd be a little bit different. But I don't let them walk down my street. So it's a little bit from me and my wife, but at the same time, it's a totally different society. We would walk back when we were young. We would walk through, leave the rink and walk 8 parking lots down
Yeah.
to go get some fries from McDonald's.
Uh-huh.
Or a shake, or we're going to get pizza over here and we'll be back at the rink in 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's it. Parents never cared. Now you have to worry about what, who's out there. And it was probably the same back then. There was bad people and there still is bad people, but I think it's just, it's more in your face now. So, and there's crazy people.
Because of this.
100%.
Because we got this in our pocket all the time.
I got a notification. Oh, so and so is has a Amber Alert, or 3 o'clock in the morning Amber Alert. So yeah, it sucks. But
how old's your youngest?
She is 7. She's actually almost 8. But yeah.
Oh, okay. So I mean, your kids are pretty much in the same age group as mine. I mean, I've got a 19-year-old. Well, he turns 19 next month, and I've got my middle one turns 14 in the summer, and then my youngest turns 9.
Okay.
So your kids are pretty close, well, on the top end, a little,
yeah,
come
correct.
down a little bit. Yeah. But with like COVID and stuff like that, do you look at your kids and do you think, man, you're just not getting to experience?
100%. You 100%. I had a conversation with the wife about it. Someone else too, like 2 weeks ago. I don't remember who it was, but it's just my daughter, who is in 2nd grade now, she's never experienced a real full school year, like a real one, that you didn't have to be scared of, oh, well, it's COVID numbers are going up, or we weren't starting late because of COVID, or getting out for 3 months, 4 months because of COVID, to have to push it back because we don't have enough teachers. I mean, it's throughout the whole, since she started 1st grade, her kindergarten grade, when she went, that was 1920. We got out for 3 months because of COVID. 1st grade, we started late. And then we had a couple weeks off in between because COVID numbers were going up, virtual only. And even this year we started, there was a couple days that we had to, hey, we're going to take a week off because, numbers are kind of getting scary. So it's just, they haven't experienced real school, real life. I mean, the days of 10 people going over to a friend's house, not really happening lately.
Well, I was going to ask, so you guys in the household itself, obviously you guys can control, well,
kind of, yeah.
Does your 15-year-old have a cell phone?
Oh yeah.
And
of course.
Does the middle one have a cell phone?
No, he does not. He wants one. He has our old one.
Okay.
So he can talk to friends.
Get on Wi-Fi, things like that.
Correct.
Okay,
correct.
But no cell service. So he's not taking it to school. Well, I guess
man. He kind of does, but not, just for riding on the bus, playing games. And even my daughter, she's the same thing. They have our old phones. It's basically like a little teeny tablet.
Yeah, as I say, so they can get on like YouTube Kids, things like that.
Yeah.
Well, so obviously at that point, you guys, they're not just completely immersed in it other than in society. Like they walk outside, they see people in masks, they see this, they go to school, things like that. Do you guys do anything at home to kind of mitigate their exposure to all this stuff?
We try to watch, we don't even watch the news. We don't ever have the news on, ever. If the news is on, it's at night when we're in bed and I'm trying to figure out just what happened in the area. But other than that, I don't know when the last time I turned news on. I don't. I just it's stupid. So we don't have that on. It's not in their ears. Um, we talk freely. The wife and I, and even my oldest, who's 14, 15, he's learning. He's kind of jumping into some conversations, but I mean, they know, all of our kids know our thoughts. All of our kids and most of our friends are similar thoughts. Some of them are not, and that's fine. And we can have a conversation with that, and that's fine. Nobody gets mad at each other or tries to cancel each other. But
I was gonna say, you have any of those friends that just won't
yeah,
talk to you
I mean,
anymore?
I do actually, I do, and it's pretty sad, but it's their loss.
Yeah.
If you can't respect my views, knowing I'm not sexist, I'm not racist, I'm not against, or anything, but if you can't respect, kind of what I think, or who we vote for, or who we support, or anything like that, if I respect anybody else's. If you want to vote for so and so, great, good for you. That's what you think. If you want to vote for this person, great, that's good for you. I support you. I don't care what your thoughts are.
Don't you? It doesn't feel like kind of the way that they behave, and I know we're using they and it's
Oh,
which
yeah,
is a very odd thing to do, because when we used to do they growing up, it was they was racial.
correct. Oh,
Now
yeah.
they is literally
Someone that
anybody
doesn't believe,
exactly on
somebody
the
that
other side.
doesn't think your way.
Yeah. So doesn't it feel like what they are exposing, what they're going out and shouting and yelling about is actually the exact thing that, like, say they would accuse somebody of like you or me of,
100%.
like
I mean, 100%.
dictatorship, Nazi, all this other nonsense. But I'm not telling you to, that you have to do this or you must wear this, or if you don't think this way, you're a piece of shit.
So when we were, and I'm actually friends with this person. But I mean, we've been friends for years. I don't see him much because, just our lives go this way. But I'm still friends. I'd still go have a beer with him and hang out with him all night. But when COVID first started back in March of 2020, we would go out on, obviously there was nothing to do, like literally nothing to do.
Yeah.
So we would just go on walks as a family, and we weren't wearing masks. We were outside, not around anybody. Like, we live on a main road. There's sidewalks, but there's nobody out. We got messages by some people, and one in particular, hey, you really need to wear a mask. I'm outside. You know what? Thanks for letting, if you want to wear a mask outside, great. We're not going to. I mean, we're just not going to do it.
Was this somebody they see, like, did you guys post a picture on social media?
Oh, yeah,
you guys
yeah.
and
yeah,
they
it's like,
commented
hey,
on it?
we're getting fresh air. We're going on a walking adventure, seeing what we can see.
And they would message you from
just
across the country to say you should put a mask on.
Yeah. I mean, even to this day, it's ridiculous what people think, that their view, people think that you care about their views.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
You could think 100% opposite of what I think. I don't care. That's your views. You have your family. You have yourself. Cool. I have my family. I have myself. That's what I think.
Yeah.
It's, when someone says, and it's the memes, you need to wear a mask, and, you're hurting me, and they're sitting there smoking a cigarette.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I saw
Sure.
one yesterday that said, it was the you need to wear a mask starter kit, and it's the silhouette of this, like, it's probably like a 400-pound person.
Yeah.
and it's got all of these brands like all around it. It's like McDonald's, Burger King, but also like Pornhub and all these other things.
I've seen something like that. Yes.
And you're like, are you the gauge? Like, and it's a weird, I guess, someone like you and me, we live in a weird environment where, again, at 40 years old, I don't feel 40. Actually, I feel better. We grew up as athletes. We understood. I mean, we performed at very high levels. You understand how to live a healthy life and how to take care of
Correct.
yourself. And I have no doubt that you, exhibit that at home, and that kind of just rubs off.
Yes. Like I don't, we still, whenever there's any sort of, and I'm going to say Coke, but soda, whenever any soda is brought in, I look and I'm like, really? You don't need to do that. Like, don't drink that stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff's not good for you. Or, the nasty fast food.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you, on the road, sometimes that's all that's there, and you need something. But for the most part, yeah, we tend to eat fairly healthy. Obviously we have our vices, but we tend to be pretty healthy as far as, what we put in our bodies.
Yeah.
And we're not just drinking soda, eating popcorn. The kids, yes, they have snacks, but we're not just having junk, just have junk, and I mean, there's throughout my life, I'm sure yours too, you would live and see someone that isn't eating healthy, and you're like, can you eat healthier? And they're like, mind your own business.
Right.
Sorry, I grew up like this, where you try to stay healthy to keep your body clean. I get, if you don't want to, great, that's fine.
Well, it's weird. I actually grew up in a house with my father. My father was, I mean, I guess he was in pretty good shape. I mean, I've seen a lot of pictures of him from his 20s and early 30s. And I would say probably close to the time where I was like 10 years old. We moved from Spring, which was right around the corner from the skating rink. I mean, I was literally like 2 miles from the skating rink, and we ended up moving out to a ranch, pretty much where, just north of where I'm at right now. And at that time, he kind of started putting on weight, and I noticed it. Like he literally went from being like 180 pounds to being like 220 pounds. And you could see it pretty,
Yeah.
because he wasn't, it's not like me, I go lift weights. So I'm like, last night I weighed myself, I'm 195 pounds.
But it's muscle.
Right. I'm looking at my dad, and he would weigh 20, 30 pounds more than I do right now. And you're starting to see this gut, you're starting to see this belly.
But he didn't work out.
No, nothing.
And so that's actually, it's funny you say that. Not that I'm, gaining weight, but I haven't been able to work out lately, because, skating wise, I was coaching, and then we lost the rink, the rink we were coaching at. So it sold. So I haven't been doing much lately, and I feel it. And I haven't really gained any weight, but I feel it.
Yeah.
And as an athlete, I'm like disappointed in myself. But at the same time, I know I can get it back quick. Most people, they get in a routine that I was in shape. Now I'm not. I don't know how to get back to it. Especially if they weren't athletes, if they just they did jogging every so often, or, they did a little bit here and there just to stay in shape. And then they lose that. It's hard to get back if you don't have that mindset of, I'm going to hurt. And as athletes, we know when we hurt, it's a good feeling, but we could push through the pain. We could be like, I have nothing left, but I have another 20 minutes. So a lot of people now, they can't do it. My wife loves working out. She loves riding the bike in the house. But she never was an athlete growing up. So she's had to learn that, and she loves it, but she had to learn it. So it's something that was ingrained in my head from, you know, teenage years, young adolescent years, but she had to learn it at an older age. So it's just everybody's different, everybody is different. So all my kids, they know, hey, we're gonna be active, and that's just what kind of, I think my mindset is there. My wife has taken that mindset too. And we have, they have friends that that's not their mindset. So
throughout the pandemic, have you personally, you specifically, have you taken a bigger interest in your health and done things to kind of improve upon?
no, actually, it's probably the opposite. But not because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
It's the rink, like I said, the rink closed a year ago. So my coaching and my have to go put my skates on twice a week. It doesn't happen anymore. It doesn't happen like that. If I had to go out, I'm going to go out and skate by myself. Ride the bike inside. But throughout the pandemic, I've gotten busier with work, which is a horrible excuse. I know that, but it's my excuse, right? But with that, running our skating league, our local skating league, takes a lot of time. Having 3 kids, it takes a lot of time. Running a business takes a lot of time. Being a husband takes a lot of time. So it's the opposite. I've taken less point of me, but I've taken a little bit more of time. Hey, I want to spend time with my kids. It's I'm kind of sacrificing myself in my health, but I'm not like I'm going them bad, but I have sacrificed a little bit of my health for time with my kids or other stuff that may or may not really matter. But
well, that's a good investment though. That's the best I mean, that's better than buying crypto.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too. Investing in my kids' time. They grow up so fast. I want as much time as I can with them.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, so I'm going to jump over here because you brought something up. Your y'all's local league.
Okay.
So I was talking with Chris last week, and I'd spoken with Jim prior to, and look, I'm involved in skating, but I'm not involved in skating. Like I talk to everybody. I still, have this association, that association, whatever. But I'm not, look, I'm not skating, so I don't see all
you're not there day to day. You don't see the inner happenings,
all the little things going on. So I didn't realize, and I was just kind of, filled in on this, was kind of where there's not necessarily a power grab, but there's a creation of a league, or an organization.
Organization
Comparison.
is the right word.
Yeah. So, are you involved with that at all?
I actually am.
Okay.
But I'm not involved in the organization.
Just your team. Your team is registered with. Okay.
Yeah, our team is registered with. We skate both. And I say we. My dad's the coach. I haven't been skating much, but I still have. I still work in, the background, if you will. But we're still involved in both. Personally, I still go to both organizations' races. Both organizations have some great points and great pluses, and both organizations have even more minuses. So it's not this one's better than this one. It's okay, that one has this, that one has this. And I know when you talk to Chris, I listened to it on the way home from our league meet on Monday. But if you could take some of this, and combine them, it'd be great. It'll never happen because both organizations think they're the best and think they are in it for the right reasons, and they might be, but if they're never going to compromise and say, okay, we'll come down here, and put it together. It'll never happen.
I mean, are we talking like Ford and GM kind of thing here, or are we talking about just vast differences between these two?
Honestly, Ford and GM.
So very similar. They're very similar. They just
very similar.
They just got a different skin on it.
Because everybody, everybody, no matter what, they like the sport of speed skating or skating in general. They like skating. So they're in it for the right reasons. But then you have some over here that left this organization because they didn't, people wouldn't agree with it. And so they left and they started their own. Okay. They took good ideas and started this thing. So what happens is you have the old school USARS, USAC, but USARS that has been around forever. They have their rule set. Up until this organization, the USRSS, or American roller speed skating,
the Russian, the Russian league.
Yeah,
no,
the Russian one.
Hey, I tell you, well, real quick for 1 second. Like
I hate when people say that, but
yeah, like it does. It's there, and to me, it's a joke. But I had to stop Chris, because.
Oh, he went on a tangent. I saw.
Well, he started saying it's like saying the N-word.
Yeah, and
I'm like,
no, it's not.
It's not that bad. Look, we're talking
it's
about.
A play on words.
Yeah,
it's a play on words. Whatever, leave it alone. But yeah, so, but you have USARS has been forever. US roller speed skating that has been forever. That has been since like 2017, I think. So they have great ideas. USRSS or US roller speed skating has great ideas, and their rule book I think is way better because it actually mimics world skate. So, but USARS is the national governing body. They're the national governing body of speed skating or roller sports, really. They are recognized that from FEARS as the national governing body. They are the top. This organization, it was built to build speed skating from the rinks. All of the people that were here, they came from here. So they have the same ideas of we need to keep speed skating and keep skating growing. So it's a Ford and GM. They're both cars. They both want to sell, and they both have very similar features. They're just made a little bit different. So go ahead.
Is there a net gain? Like, cause that was that. I mean, look, look, growing up with USAC, there was all kinds of rules that were just insane. I'll be honest. I believe I was very fortunate. I can count on one hand how many times I've been, I ever got DQ'd, and one of them was well-deserved because I was at nationals. Jordan Nelson was actually making fun of me not too long ago about this, that we were at nationals. It was Jordan, Chad, Fred, and me in a 4-man. And we're like, at this point, we're like a half a lap ahead in the final. And I came out of the box 1 lap early and deservingly DQ'd. You
can't argue it.
Yeah. I never really got DQ'd for like, what they, judgment calls. I got DQ'd for like clear rule violations.
Yeah.
So obviously there was a lot of stuff in use, but in USAC, there's just so many judgments here and there. Obviously with USARSS, they've done away with a lot of that stuff, and that's great.
And kind of. So there's still, there's still the rules, don't like Chris said, don't push someone down, don't punch somebody, and don't kick somebody. At the end of the day, don't push somebody. Now there are judgment calls, and I do like the declassification rule. They use it at Worlds, they use it internationally. If you bump somebody a little bit, but you're clearly way ahead, hey, you shouldn't have done that, just move you back. You're declassified. Actually,
I had this conversation with Joey on Tuesday, because that's, again, it's growing up. We never had
if you do something wrong, you're out.
Right.
Yeah.
I think in those respects that, hey, look, you're in first. You got somebody who's in first. They get rode out by somebody who's in second. You're on the last lap. It wasn't intentional. You guys are just racing hard for the line or whatever. The guy who won, move him back to second. Don't take away their medal, because obviously, like we're watching the Olympics right now. We were talking about Aaron Jackson, all this other stuff, and it says, oh my God, you got one slip, you have one bobble, and all those years of work, all this time and effort is completely gone out the window because of not necessarily a blatant, flagrant foul, just an accident. It happens as part of racing.
So
So that's a
what
pretty
if?
cool thing.
So yeah. So what if Aaron was skating against or was skating against time, but what if Aaron got bobbled by the person that is next to her or that is racing against her? If they came over and was changing tracks, and this person bobbled,
Mm-hmm.
just bobbled,
Right.
didn't touch or anything, but Aaron's right behind her and she bobbled because she was going to run in. So it's stuff like that it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I kind of agree with it because it like Chris said, it encourages racing. You can have someone that, hey, I'm going to throw the pass. I don't know if I'm going to make it, but I'm going to try, or it's bad judgment. It's like, hey,
Do you actually see more of that?
It's yes and no, because the oval track, and I know, that it as the Naira track. I just call it the oval track,
Yeah.
or the square track. So it's, or the four corner track. But the oval track, because there's more room on everything, there's way less pushes. There's way less ride-ins. There's way less ride-outs. There's, the late passes are, you don't have at one point that you have to get around. That cone is farther in, and you're really not close to those first cones anyway. So it's way less physical on that track anyway. So with that being said, there's less calls because of that. There is less, if something happens, there's a declassification. Now there's still disqualifications. If you do something blatant, you're out. Like, come on, you knew you weren't going to make that pass, you're out. But if it's just a slight bump, and I think that's where, that's the judgment part, is if it's a bad bump, it's a disqualification. But if it's just we just kind of barely hit, that's when hey, you know what, it wasn't bad, it was just a bump. Did the person on the outside maybe come in a little bit? Maybe. So do you disqualify both, or do you just declassify the one that had the worst offense?
See, I mean, I get some of that, especially if it's restricted to the last lap of the race. I get a lot of that. But I think back to this, and again, just playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
Because if I came back to skate, it would literally be the 100-meter drag race. I would never do anything else.
Yep. So you would never have to worry about anything.
No, I would never turn a corner. Never.
Mm-hmm.
I'd never turn a corner. I mean, I would go practice on like a 400-meter track somewhere just because it's large.
But you're never going to race. Yeah.
No, I'm not. I mean, yeah, I'm never going to do that. One day when I get my world team jersey back with some stripes on it, I'll go to some meets and, watch and stuff like
exactly.
that. But no, but one of the, look, there was obviously you had to make a decision when we were skating. It was risk versus reward. Okay.
Yeah,
and there was
pass or sit in second.
Right.
Yeah.
High risk, high reward. If you take that risk, you take that chance, boom, you got the win or whatever. But if you don't, obviously no results whatsoever. But there was also, in my mind, there was the mentality, there was the thought process that went into this. Okay, do I have it to make this pass? If I don't make this pass, I'm getting disqualified. I'm not even getting second. Do I take the chance and just go ahead and get my 20 points for getting second here? Or do I just balls out, throw it and say, here, go big, go home kind of thing?
So those kind of passes would be a disqualification. Yeah. They'd still be a disqualification.
Yeah.
It's more of the, hey, I threw the pass and, we're going faster than I thought. And we bumped a little bit, didn't really knock somebody way out or anything like that. It's more of just, it was a minor infraction. That's the declassification. So I know, kind of what you're thinking. And if someone does that now and, hey, you know what, I'm throwing it. I want the win, I'm throwing it.
Well, yeah, there's less risk. overall.
Yeah, well, but if it's that close, it's still a disqualification. It's still, hey, that was stupid. You shouldn't have done that. It's the ones that are minor. That's where the declassification comes in.
Now,
So,
do you think
and it's
that,
all judgment. It really is all judgment.
and that's the hard part. And
Yeah,
I get that.
exactly.
Look, I'm not a fan of judgment. I'm a very analytical person. I like black and white numbers, things like that. I like
I do too.
clear, but judgments are tough. Now,
Mhm.
from your opinion, you've skated in we'll call it 3 eras of skating. You were there for the quads and the hard boots and all this stuff, and you came up really through the heyday of speed skating, when it was just going insane. USA was on top of everything,
Oh yeah.
to where things are now, and it's a different evolution. Again, do you feel like, do you feel that that speed skating is A, the fastest it's ever been, and B, like on its way back up, or do you feel like it's static?
Um, all of it actually. It is the fastest it's ever been. But it's by technology. It's the physical fastest we've ever gone. And I know you had the whole Chad versus Joey thing the other day, and I think Chad was way better than Joey. But Joey is way more technical, way more smart when it comes to training. Chad falls to the wall. I'm going. I'm one big muscle.
Look,
And so
let's
is
just be
Joey.
very. Chad was an. I even said this. If you look at Chad, you look at him, you do not see athlete. Like,
No,
you just see average normal person. So like the fact that he was able to do what he did was
was amazing.
more an example of how amazing he was. But he was also the guy that he went and ate a Big Mac every day.
And that goes back to, is skating the fastest it's ever been? Yes. And it's also because most athletes don't do that. They do go work out with weights. They do the more plyometrics than ever. They work on certain training that works on certain muscles. Back then we skated.
Yeah,
We rode our bike.
Did you guys do any cross training at all?
Back in the day, yeah, we rode our bike. We did some plyometrics.
We weren't even allowed to ride a bike.
We skated.
Yeah, skate.
I mean,
Paul always said,
skated.
he's like, I own the rink. He says,
You're
if
skating.
you can skate, you're skating.
Yep. And that's kind of where, back then, that's the mentality.
Yeah.
Go skate. And when you can't skate anymore, you got 50 more laps. And now it's, and nowadays with technology and nutrition and, all the sciences, you have to, okay, well, I worked out really hard yesterday. I can't work out those muscles because I'm going to let them heal.
Mm-hmm.
And with working out in the gym, what you can do and what you shouldn't do. Yeah. Back in the day, it would be doing the exact same thing. You'd go in the gym and do the exact same thing every single day till you couldn't stand up. Now it's a little bit different because of science. So I think we are the fastest we've ever been because of technology. 100% because of technology and nutrition, and we know more. We know more about skating. We know more about technique. I won, I think it was 2016 Nationals. I was not in the best shape. I was not. I walked in and I didn't even think I was going to place. I was going to be happy if I made it in the finals, but I won because of my technique and my knowledge of skating.
Now, what division were you in?
That was master.
Okay.
Yeah, it was old guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I was curious. Did you guys did you go to senior, or did you go to Grand Classic or
no?
Like
yeah,
that?
I once I kind of when pro came in, I was like, okay, great. I did a couple years of pro, and then I'm like, I can't train like these guys.
Yeah.
I have a business, and so I went up through the divisions, if you will. But so we are the fastest. I do think skating as a whole, not just speed skating, but I think skating as a whole, we're actually growing. And I say we, quads, just going out and seeing people skating down the road. Skating as a whole is coming back. partially, I think, because of the pandemic. People had to get outside and do something. And, they didn't want to walk.
Yeah.
So, hey, skating's fun. It brought that back, which I think is great. But in like our leagues, I mean, in like neat stuff, like for indoor speed skating or outdoor speed skating, I do think we're kind of at an up. We're going up. There's more faces. Now we lose people all the time. People just say, hey, we're done. But I do think we're on an upward hill because I see new faces all the time. We had, this weekend we had our biggest in our league, our local, I say local, our South league. We had our biggest event in years. So, and it was partially because a couple new teams showed up. It was great. They saw what we do. And a lot of those people actually they didn't participate because they are USARS people. And they're like, that's the Rebel Alliance.
Okay.
Going back to Star Wars. Y'all are the rebels. And this is USARS. It's been here forever. This is what happens. This is the government. They're gonna do the right thing. Well, y'all are the Rebel Alliance. You're the ones that are doing something that is against this. So you're bad. Well, we're still skating. And I tell everybody, I'm not for either organization, like per se. It's both organizations have their good, have their bad. Our league uses USRSS, US roller speed skating. We use that simply because it is cheaper, it is easier, there's less red tape, and there's less rules that we have to, hey, we didn't do this, so we're gonna get, a big, huge slap on the wrist. Well, it's a league meet. We're coming together for 8 hours and skating and going home. So it makes races easier.
Yeah.
How we do our league. So
do you guys you got, and you said like the Roswell, you guys don't have that rink anymore. Are you guys gonna go into another rink, or y'all gonna be able to train, or y'all just gonna have to train outdoors together?
So my dad has one rink. It's about he coaches at one rink. It's Sparkles. There's a couple rinks around that are still Sparkles. It's hour away from me, hour and 10 minutes away from me. So I don't go there all the time because it's just too far. And it's into Atlanta basically. So I don't go there. So he still coaches, and there's still a speed team. We still have the speed team there. It's obviously a little smaller, but I've been trying to get in a couple rinks that are on the north side near me.
Yeah.
I hope I can in the next couple months, because I miss it. I really do. I miss it.
Do you think that they're, look, I'm all for whatever's going to help the sport grow. Do you feel like you're seeing do you actually, well, simple numbers, you've got 1,000 skaters in USARS. Okay. Did you guys just essentially split it? And I mean, I obviously not like the numbers were done that way, but we'll just again say, was there actually like just a portion of that 1,000 went over here and started skating USARSS?
Yes.
Or was there an actual net gain from everything where now there's like 1,050 skaters?
Both. So the original area that basically rebelled, they were the rebels, was the Midwest area. Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, Ohio. That area was the initial, hey, we're quitting USARS. We're done. That was the initial area. And of that area, 65, 70% of them, they stopped skating USARS. So yes, they took the USARS numbers and just took 250, 300 and moved to here. And that was the initial one. And then Colorado, a little bit in Colorado started from Jeff Ingram, which it's Jeff Ingram and Kelly Springer. They're Ford GM.
Yeah.
They both like skating, but they're never going to, work together. So you have a little bit in Colorado and a little bit in the Midwest. And so, yeah, you take those numbers and you just take some from USARS. Now, the Colorado area, they had a good thing gaining numbers that were not USARS, USARS members. They were not USARS members at all. And so those are added, which is good. It's plus numbers. The Midwest, they lose some people, they gain some people. They lose some people, they gain some people. I think overall they have gained. At the end of the day, I don't care what organization has more. I really don't, because racing is racing. The card, membership card, it's $40 and $80. It might be 85. If you're in skating, if you're buying a set of wheels, just a set of wheels, you know how much they are. What's $120 for the year versus one set of wheels?
Yeah.
Buy both cars. Race everything. I mean,
And there's no penalty today. Like you're not gonna, like USARS isn't gonna, because I mean back in the day you couldn't, if you were on USAC you could not go skate Naira.
Nope. That is now there are people that they'll give you a hard time, but there's no one that's going to tell you can't.
So here's a question that was actually raised to me, and I what I'll ask you here would just be pure speculation, and somebody came to me after I had the interview with Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody came to me, and I'm going to say definitively is not Jim Larson. These words never came out of Jim Larson's mouth. Jim has actually had nothing but great things. He doesn't necessarily agree with how things have gone.
Yeah.
But he's actually had nothing but great things to say about someone like, Jeff Foster and Chris, privately and on the air. He's been just, so because everybody's going to assume that Jim's the one who said this to me.
Of course.
So the question was asked, where did all of the money and everything come from? Where did the starting equipment, the computers, all of this stuff to start USARSS, where did it come from? And I guess, and before you answer, I'll just throw this on there. The insinuation is that there was, well, actually the flat out word embezzlement was used.
Stolen money. I heard about that.
Is that skating rumor? Kind of like, some of the shit we used to deal with back in the day.
Some of it's fact. Some of it is fact. Some of it is twisted. Embezzlement and stealing. I don't know. It's not part of my, and that is only that league up there, the Midwest Point Series, which is not USRSS. That's just the league, because basically the league split and they had money and they had to separate it. And he said, she said, well, you took more than I needed, and I think you need to give me more. So
simple.
Yeah. The truth, I don't know. It's somewhere in between. But like our league, we were USARS for years, and then we actually went like 6 years without sanctioning anything. We just didn't sanction because we didn't have enough numbers. So we stopped sanctioning, still raced. Everybody signed a waiver. Okay. Waivers, they're really not good for anything. I mean, but
somebody wants to sue or something, they're going to sue.
They're going to sue. Hey, you signed the waiver. Yeah, but my 8-year-old signed it, But like our league, when we transferred over, the league had a little bit of money, but we're still our league. But from all of the timing equipment and the equipment stuff, most of it is donated. It is purchased. I mean, I have all of our league stuff in my possession, and I will say probably 65% of it I have purchased over the years. It's just, I have it, I bought it, we needed it. So I got
there's no rule, no guideline that says you have to use it for USARSS or USARS.
No, we use it for everything. I mean, people have asked me, say, hey, we're putting a meet on, you're coming here for a booth, right? Do you have your lap count? Yep, I'll bring it. It's kind of, if it's better for the sport, okay.
Yeah.
Starting guns. if it's better for the sport, you can use it. I don't care. It's skating. And that's where I believe it's skating. So
real quick, since you just brought up starting gun, I actually watched the video. I watched and so the question is the kind of guns you guys use today. So there was actually a study that was done based on the Summer Olympics, like the 100-meter start,
okay.
that there, and I know it's not going to sound like a lot, but they changed away from using a starting gun that has blanks in it
Yep.
to something that there was more along the lines of like speakers behind all of the runners, because they showed that statistically the athletes closer to the starting gun,
They
there
hear
was
it
something
first.
well, at 0.14 or 0.014 seconds, the reaction time was average faster. So if you guys changed to something, yeah, because I mean, I could always tell you, I loved being on the inside. A lot of people hated being by the cone because you've got to you got to come further out to go around. I
But you
loved
can
being by.
hear it.
Yes, you heard that click.
Exactly.
So have you?
Even almost the click before the blank went off.
Yes,
You hear that click.
you hear the you hear the cylinder starting to rotate.
Correct.
Have you guys gone to a different style of starting gun?
So the style of starting gun that pretty much everybody uses now, it's not the blank. It's not the old school, fill it with blanks. It's a electronic gun that whether it's with a speaker or it's actually built into the actual gun. And it has a light on. Kind of like what it's actually it's called a swimmer's gun.
Okay.
Because it has the light so that if anybody is hard of hearing, they can physically see the light go off. And if you can't maybe you can't hear it, so you can see it. So we use one of those. So you're in front of the athletes because they have to see the light. And instead of being, back then, the person was usually right at the cone with the blank gun, so the person at the cone hears it, and then whoever had it just goes to the middle and puts it down. Well, now we're in front probably by 30 feet. So pretty much everybody gets it at the same time now. And the sound does come straight from the gun.
Okay.
So you're kind of, it's more of a direct line, if you will.
Well, so I can nerd out on this for a minute. Obviously, you're looking at, okay, light travels faster than sound.
Yeah, and I've had the same thought.
Is there any kind of built-in delay to the gun? I mean, granted, when you're only traveling like 50 feet,
yeah,
you're talking about you would only limit it like 0.000, whatever.
Yeah.
Don't know about anything like that. If there is those kinds of things, or is it just, hey, it's not that serious of a.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure on some of the guns there's settings. On our gun there is not. But with 25, 30 feet, I'm sure there is a little bit, but I don't think it's enough to worry about. If we were 50, 100 feet, okay, yes, you definitely are going to see it before you hear it. But being closer,
now, do you guys pretty much at this point, you guys can use the same equipment, whether it's whichever side of things. Now, so here's I guess the ultimate thing, the thing that I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around, and maybe there's a push, because Chris was very, very clear on saying that, look, we are not trying to compete with USRSS. We're not trying to compete. We just want people to skate. Okay. Your brother has been on the world team how many times? A lot.
6, 7, maybe?
Yeah, a lot.
Something like that. Yeah.
Does he have any other goal in speed skating? Okay. He wanted to make the world team. He wanted to go to Worlds. That was the goal. Okay.
That was the goal.
So
he skated Pan Ams in 2019. That's actually like
event.
That's actually like a hair above Worlds.
Yeah.
So, he skated Pan Ams.
Yeah. It's like mini Olympics.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Olympics for each landmass, if you will.
Yeah.
So, it's the Americas. That's it. So that was, I'm sure he would love to skate, but there's no one around here to skate with him, with like at his level. He's 28 years old. He's living his life, starting, as a business. It's hard to do both.
Well, okay. So that, I mean, that kind of leads into it of like you, why continue doing this if I've already achieved here? But now you've got people that are coming into the sport and they're coming in directly into USARSS instead of going over here. Well, if you align yourself with USARSS and like that's where you start and that's where you come up, like you're not going to the world team. Like your thought process and associations over here, rather than, if you've got the one governing body, and that's again, I maybe the answer's out there and I just haven't been able to find it. Maybe I'm thinking too hard, or maybe, not using enough brain power. But if the ultimate goal in the sport as an athlete, like, is to say, go to the Olympics or, go to the NBA or go to the NFL, something like that, in inline, it's making the world team, going to worlds, representing Team USA. If you're not able to do that from USARSS, like, what is the real benefit?
So I think, and back 20 years ago, 25 years ago, that was the ultimate goal. Right now, because we are not at that level, of course, every speed skater, well, what's your ultimate goal? To go to the world, go worlds. I want to be on the national team. I want to represent my country. Well, the odds of many of these skaters is very slim to none to ever do that. You have the top athletes. You go to Little League and you can say, hey, 0.01% of you are ever going to make it big time.
Yeah.
So it's the same in skating. 24 athletes are on the team. That's it. So, and a lot of them are the same people over and over and over. But for our league, we don't just because we sanction with this, we don't say, no, we're not skating these. So I think all of our teams, except one, are dual carded by the skaters, by the rink, by the team. They're both recognized on both organizations. Our league is kind of, it was the easiest way when we started the league back up, like actually got it going, to go with USRSS, with less red tape. It was a lot of the less red tape. That was a lot of the end all be all. We have a group chat on social media that all of the coaches are in, and they ask about USARS event. We talk about USARS events, mostly league stuff, obviously, but we talk about USARS events. We talk about, nationals. We talk about the tryouts. All the questions are answered. It's not like we're pushing one way or another. Again, I'm not on either side, if you will. Our league works best with this. And if we, at the end of this year, if the coaches want to sanction with USARS now, we'll sanction with USARS. It's not about we love this. All it is an insurance policy. At the end of the day, it's an insurance policy. That's all it is.
Now,
and I will say we would probably continue not to sanction at all if we could find a cheap enough insurance, because I hate the organization part of it, because they're not in it for the skaters. They're in it to keep themselves afloat.
Most bureaucracies, they exist for their self-perpetuation.
Exactly. And I've gotten people that are like, oh, how dare you say that? You're a member of the organization. So I have a coach's card. I mean, I have an official's card. Doesn't mean I have to like them.
Right.
I'll tell you right now, I'm not a fan of the presidents. I don't like them.
Of either organization?
Either one. I think one's an idiot and the other one doesn't know. So You
You
know,
don't want to say which one you think is which.
I'm not gonna say it. So, but and it doesn't mean this side or this side. Both of them, they're both. I don't want to say it in it for the wrong reasons, but they're not in reality. Because you're fed all this stuff from inside your camp. It's like the presidents. Many of them are not in reality because they're fed all the information from here, and they're fed the information that their side wants them to look at and wants them to believe.
Their bubble.
Correct.
You think
so?
You think I think maybe our current president's probably a little less in reality than some of the others.
Probably in many years. I mean, it might be in at least like 48 presidents. So because 46, right? So yeah.
Well, so look, but if you go back to this, okay, so take away the world team. All right. People want to skate, they want to skate, but at some point that when you're in competition, you want to have some gauge of how good you are. You want to be able to do, okay. So you have the American Championship and you have indoor nationals.
Yes.
All right.
What one's better?
Well, no, I mean, not even that. I mean, I'm assuming there's competition at both and it's going to be fun and it's going to be great. But my question is this, is how many times do you have somebody that goes to the American Championship because it's first that wins and doesn't go and compete at indoor nationals, and there's a completely separate champion over here at indoor nationals that, so, but now you have people on both sides claiming, oh, I'm a national champion.
Most people, and I will correct a lot of people. This is my personal belief. The American Championships, it's not a national championships.
Okay.
It's an American Championships. It is not a national championships. It's the championships. It's the American Championships.
Are you saying essentially like it's a and I don't mean this in a pejorative way or a negative way. It's more of a glorified large invitational, like we used to have, say Champions or Vegas.
So, yeah, yes and no. I mean, there's kids that will only skate the American Championships that could destroy everyone at the national championships. And there's kids that they win the national championships. The American Championships, and they would get blown away at the national championships, and vice versa. There's kids that could win the national championships, but they would struggle at the American Championships. So it's,
is that because of the competition level from the skaters, or is that something that's more manufactured because of the structure of the two organizations?
Division. Just it depends on what division it is.
Okay.
Division heavy in this one, division heavy in this one, depending on what one it is.
It's not necessarily the format of the floor that creates
That's some of it. That is some of it, because four-corner track versus oval track, totally different way of racing.
Yeah.
And I like the oval track. I always have. I hate skating on it because I'm good at the four-corner track, but I really like the format of the oval track because it encourages racing, and it's NASCAR. You can go 2 wide, you can go 3 wide. It's not just follow the leader. How many NASCAR races do you see that's follow the leader? Maybe some of them in.
I think we got cut off.
Certain areas, but most of the time it's 2 or 3, moving around. It encourages the, that's it.
We, for whatever reason, you froze for a little while.
I saw that.
Yeah, but that's all right. Well, we'll imagine what was ever there it was good, but
all good.
I want to jump back all the way to the very beginning of this. And we were talking about, you were 14 years old. You guys pretty much started building up this, and you were the guinea pig. You're the one.
Okay. It was 96. I was 16.
16. Okay.
Yep.
So look, you were a celebrated athlete. You were a well-known name. You've won nationals. You've got titles, all this other stuff. But you never made the junior world team or the senior world team.
Nope.
Do you think that possibly because you spent so much time developing this brand and kind of testing things back and forth and constantly changing, that affected your ability to compete?
Um, yes, it did. It did. I wouldn't blame it on that because I obviously, if I wanted to train more, I would have trained. I didn't. I was into cars. I was into being a kid, you know. Um, I I mean, many coaches came up to my dad or me and said, "Look, you need to change this. You need to train like this." And I listened sometimes. I fixed some things. I really didn't start the actual training, like my actual training, like knowing what to do till like 2005, 2006. That was
Oh,
the
wow.
technical stuff. Um,
You're
that
like,
was like
what, you were 24, 25 at the time then?
yeah, yeah. So,
Okay.
but before that, I was, building the brand, um, into cars. I was heavy into cars. So, had show car, all that stuff. But
Wait, didn't you have like not necessarily like full blown, um, Fast and Furious cars, but
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah,
you had cars like that.
oh yeah. It
That's
was
what you
full
were
blown
into?
fast. It was full blown Fast and Furious.
Okay. I thought I
um,
remember seeing some pictures, like not a blue one.
no, it was yellow.
Yeah, the
It was
yellow one.
black.
That's what it
It was
was.
black and then yellow.
Yeah, it was a hatchback.
Mm.
What
It
was
was
it?
it was actually a four-door Honda Accord.
Okay, okay, all right.
Oh,
But I remember seeing it. Yeah.
yes. So, but that was, did do I blame myself for not training more? Yeah, I could have probably done better. My best, and you were there, so my best finish ever trying out for the world championship or for trying out for the national team for world team. It was in '99, and I think I got like 14th. But 14th back then, the level. I mean,
You're making the world team today with that.
you're probably yeah. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the team was already pretty much decided. I mean, in
Yeah.
90, I think it was actually 99. It was my first year senior,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
we had Derek Downing, Chad Bergelaskas, both on the world team, but they were in our division. They were in my division at regionals.
Yeah.
So we were skating for one spot.
Right.
There was 15 people skating for one spot.
Right.
Unless you are that much better or you have a little help, you're not making it in division. Like top
Yeah.
three, that's it.
Because you're just a little bit older than I am.
Mhm.
But you and Fred would skate.
He's one, because I think Fred's what, 1 year older than you?
He's six right at 6 months older.
Okay.
So
And Fred is one season under me.
okay.
So
Okay.
we
Yeah.
race each other every other year, I think.
So you're ahead of him, and that's what it was, because we never actually skated against each other in division. You were
Nope.
a full 2 years ahead of me. Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah. So like when I was a second year freshman boy, you
I
were
was sophomore.
yeah, you were a sophomore,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. So yeah, we actually had this conversation. He and I had this conversation the other day about the 1500
Mhm.
on track that year. Um and where it was like yes, it was these pre it was as if there were these predeterminations that were happening. And
It's not as if. I mean, there was.
yeah,
It was, hey, you're gonna win this, you're gonna win this, you're gonna win this, and then that's the team.
yeah.
And we're gonna make sure it happens.
So here's a fun thought, fun question I had. Your brother's more of a sprinter.
Yeah.
You did more long races. I mean,
Mhm.
you had much better endurance. Head to head, you think you could kick your brother's butt?
Oh no.
No, you think he's
Like
better?
in our heyday,
Yeah,
no.
really, you think he's
I
better?
I, I think he's that much better.
Really?
Yep, I do. I
What do you think that's from?
I didn't have the I didn't have anybody ahead of me teaching me. I didn't have anybody ahead of me helping me. I didn't have anybody older than me or better than me yelling at me saying, hey, you're doing this wrong. And my brother and I had many yelling matches at practice because I saw what he was doing wrong because I did it and I learned too late. And I'm like, you have to fix that. Well, I'm fast, I can beat you. Yes, but you can be faster if you fix this. Well, I'm faster than you. But nobody else, and whatever. Eventually he did change it, or he adjusted his technique or his footstep, or stepping in the cone or whatever. I never had anybody helping me with that. So he had kind of more of an advantage than I did. And I don't fault anybody for that. That's just the way it laid out. I had a good career in skating. I loved it. Would I have liked to be on the national team? Sure. But back then, it's way different than it is now.
Yeah, and I think I made a mistake. It was Chad Bergelauskas on the team in 1999, not Dane Lewis.
Okay.
I've said this a couple times, and for some reason,
yeah, you know what, and I love Dane. I love Dane to death. But in '99, we had made him skates in '99, and he didn't make the team, so he threw them away in the dumpster. He just threw all of his skating equipment, his uniform, his helmet, his skates. He threw them away in the dumpster, and then someone came and got them back, and tried to sell them to us. And I'm like, you should probably just go give them back to Dane, but whatever. So yeah, I remember because Dane, he was upset that he didn't make the team.
Yeah. Well, so, the hard part is, of course, again, thinking back to that, that's what we related to, what our purpose was.
Correct.
But I guess at that time, like you should be really disappointed now if you don't make the team. If you're like a good skater and you don't make the team now, like you probably should now maybe be really disappointed, maybe throw some skates away or something like that. But back then you could be top 20. Like if you're top 20, you're still world caliber athlete.
Yeah.
There just happens to be that many fast people.
We were that much better than everybody else in the world.
Now, do you think it was a cumulative better just as a sport, as an American group, or do you think that I mean, look, obviously there's transitions in sports. You had Michael Jordan, you got Kobe, you got douchebag James. Obviously, they're different athletes and they just progress.
They're all good in their own right.
Right. So
they're all good in their era.
You had Dante and Tony, you had Chad, you had Joey. Okay. Yeah. So do you now those athletes that we would traditionally associate with our top athletes, these athletes are overseas now. These athletes are in Colombia, these athletes are in Italy, things Correct. Like that. Like is that just a result of the sport here in the United States? Is that
I think there's multiple reasons, and you can't put any blame on one person or one thing. I think watching it for because you took a break, I've watched it the whole time. It's the organization didn't help because there was fighting in the organization. There was politics in coaching, which you're going to get anyway.
Yeah.
But no coaches wanted to help each other out because, hey, my skaters, you might take my skater, or, I'm not going to train this person's skater.
Right.
Well, but in the grand scheme of things, what do we want best?
Grow the sport.
To get better.
Uh-huh.
As a whole.
Yeah.
I don't care what team you're on, because if I can beat you, I'm going to beat you.
Yeah.
If you can beat me, I'd almost rather you to come train with me because I can chase you. So, it's a lot of politics and a lot of coaches' egos. There's not one coach you can blame it on. There's not one team you can blame it on. Not one area you can blame it on. I've skated in all four corners of the country in training. With business, go to an area, spend a couple days training with them, do some business, whatever. But I've learned from all the coaches. I've learned new races, new training drills from all coaches in all areas of the country. And I think we as an entire country could take advantage of that. But unfortunately, everybody thinks they're better. Everybody's like, oh, I know what to do. Well, maybe you might know what to do, but could you be better? That old, practice makes perfect. Nobody's ever perfect. You can practice and to get better, but you're never going to get perfect because you always can improve. Everybody can always improve.
Yeah.
So, and if anybody thinks that they are better than anybody, now you might be smarter than somebody, but they might have, and you might have way more knowledge, but they might have come up with some drill that you could use to your advantage. But most people, they're either too hard-headed, too politicky, whatever, to even listen. And it sucks. It sucks. And I think that part has hurt a lot of our athletes.
Made a lot of people not want to come back.
Yeah, whether come back or just say I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
Just say, what, it's I did my thing and I'm good. It sucks.
I mean, that's look, my decision to leave was more forced upon me than
and
my choice.
You're not the only one.
Yeah.
There's been quite a few people that, they're out because they couldn't get along with somebody, or, maybe both parties should have came together and said, hey, you know what? I'll change this if you change this. But everybody's they're too proud in their own right to change anything.
Yeah, there was no changing what the other party. He wasn't.
I understand that.
He wasn't changing. So but yeah, I mean that's why Fred left. He just got he got to the point where it was just like, why am I here anymore?
Yeah, I understand. I really do understand all of it.
Yeah, he left more on his own accord. He was just fed up and finished with it. So
fed up with the politics.
Yeah.
Fed up with the drama. And it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been changes, but it hasn't changed. It sucks.
So because, you think that with, I mean, do you see inline speed skating going in a positive direction with the this new league and everything coming up?
It's not just a new league. It has helped because it forced USARS to change some stuff. As a whole, I would say that USARS still has the more dominant skaters. If someone that's going to just skate American championships or just skate the national championships, more dominant skaters are still the national championships. And I would never ever tell anybody you need to go to the American championships and not go to the national championships. Go to both. If you can, go to both. And if whatever one you can afford, go to that one. Depending on if you want to skate against the best, look at your division. Because there are some hard divisions in this and most hard divisions in this, if you will. So
do you ever foresee like some type of, and I mean, just the parody of it is so blatant, but do you ever see possible unification of the two of them, and not necessarily rejoining of forces, but like you said, you've got
working together?
You've got the American Championship and you've got the National Championship. I mean, you can't find a better comparison than Major League Baseball. I mean, one I would, by knowing skating on the two of them, it's not to say that either track is easy, but obviously the more difficult, in my opinion, is the four corner track versus the oval track. It's you have you have more lines to skate on the oval track. So
yeah,
for intents and purposes, it's like the designated hitter rule,
correct.
So, and you're a fan of the cheating, Atlanta Braves. So, so it's like, but look at that. you guys, you guys are a National League team down here. We're an American League team.
Right.
When you play in our ballpark, you got to play with the designated hitter rule. When we play in your ballpark, our pitcher is going to get struck out.
Has to swing the bat.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, wouldn't it benefit the sport really to kind of bring those two together and actually exchange competitions?
It would. Both of them are too proud to do that.
Isn't the whole point of USARSS isn't it for the change to develop a completely different,
Yes.
unrigid structure that everybody's supposed to be able to grow with?
Yes. And on one hand, but like I said a minute ago, because of USRSS, USARS was forced to change a lot.
Money mostly, changing cost of cards and things like that.
No, they changed a lot of like the stupid rules and just red tape, stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
The money thing or the cheap cards that was brought up, I think that's already gone away. I think they did it for 2 years, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's already gone away.
Okay.
I don't know for sure, but some of the stuff that needed to change, it changed. But at this point, neither organization is ahead of the other. They're really not. And they're both hard-headed. They're both, over here are a bunch of people that, USRSS, there are a bunch of people that were tired of the good old boy club. So they did this. But guess what? Because it was a group that came in, the good old boys, they turned into the good old boy club. Excuse me.
Bless you.
But thank you. But they turned in, and it's not the good old boy club, but they have their ideas, and they're not going to change much from it. These groups, we've done this forever, where we're not going to change certain things. So it's still, we went over here and set this rule set. This is our rule set. We're over here. It's been this for 50 years. We're not changing it. So they're both hard-headed.
Yeah.
Would it be best to come together? Yeah. USARS is the national governing body. I have never understood why we have different rules for indoor and outdoor.
Right.
Why are there different rules? Why is there a different point system for indoor and outdoor? Make it, simplify it. Same rules, same point system. That way you only have to teach one to your kids. Over here, one rule set.
Fears.
Correct. Worldscape.
Yeah.
It's very similar to that. That is the main thing I like about it, honestly. Yeah. And I don't understand how USARS has not seen that, because they would have to change everything. They would have to change all the rules for indoor racing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's time. With time comes change.
You've got a pretty good friend that's there on that board now. I think maybe you could have a conversation with him.
The problem is, it's never going to change. One person, I don't think he can change it.
You don't think? Look. He's black. He's got a bigger voice now.
Right.
Come on, Steve. Get in there.
Maybe I've said this to many people. I might not have ever have said it to Steve, or nobody else might have ever said it to Steve. I don't know, or anybody on that. I think we could, if the rule set was similar, we're in a better place across the board. Yeah. I really do. I really think so. And now, they just lost one of the employees, but they have USARS has full-time employees to answer the phones.
Right.
Great. USRSS, it's mainly email. unless you have somebody's phone number, like personal phone number. It's mainly email, which is great. But USRSS, it's easy to do it. It's mostly online. USARS is changing to that, which is great. It makes it easier. You can do everything online now, with everything. So if we could just do that, if USARS, USARS is changing to that, it's good. It's a good move. They've done away with regionals. That's a good move. It's a really good move because we don't need it now. Gone are the
one less
days
expense when you don't have that many people.
Yeah, and it's expense, it's headache of trying to tell your skaters and the parents, hey, we have to, our regionals is 7 hours away, or was. We have to go spend a weekend to really do nothing. And it's another $1,000 you're gonna spend.
It's just another invitational, essentially.
And it's small because it's only your region. So, and only the people that want to go to nationals.
I tell you what, man, our region, I mean, back in the day, I mean, you guys had the same thing.
It was the same as us.
It was insane.
It really was the same as us. Our regionals used to be 4 days long.
Yeah.
We used to have our regionals in the Pensacola Civic Center.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was 4 solid days.
Yeah.
5 days if you count the practice.
We were at the Will Rogers auditorium, which is pretty close to the same size.
Brought the floor in, put the floor together for regionals.
Yeah.
People don't even understand that nowadays.
And you had several hundred people there just watching.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah. So
maybe one day we'll get back to that.
I don't. Maybe. I don't think it will.
No.
I don't think it's going to be that day. Not indoor racing.
You think the futures of the sport is outdoors?
I think so.
Yeah.
I really, really think so. Our one with since I'm the named president of our league, our Southern Speed League, I'm a big proponent of, hey, if we can do outdoor, let's do outdoor.
Yeah.
If we can, we need to, because you're gonna see a lot more people while you're skating in a parking lot or on a track. People are gonna drive by and say, hey, what is that? People can't see that when you're in a skating rink. People drive by on a Sunday morning or a Saturday morning and they're like, oh, people at a skating rink.
Right.
Or they don't even notice. There's always cars there in the morning or in the afternoons and evenings. There's always cars there. But if you physically see it, then you see it.
Right.
I really think that the future of our sport really relies on eyes, people seeing it, people, and I'm not that person. I know that. I've tried it a couple times of making videos and getting it out there. Yeah. The reels now on, the YouTube reels, the Instagram, the Facebook, all that stuff, that the reels, the shorts, making videos on YouTube, on all the social media. I think that, and just posting them out there, I think that is a huge draw that we can see. I mean, on my personal one, when I'm scrolling, I see, and I know it's algorithms and stuff, but I see skiing and I see cars.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me want to go skiing again. It makes me want to go buy another car again. If you can have skating in it and it's just kind of every so often one shows up, it might make people want to skate again.
Now, but what makes for a good reel? Here's the question, and this was
Crashes.
a big argument that was sitting out there.
Oh, crashes.
Yeah. So would not the incident with Jeffrey Puckett and the Dustin whatever?
It was actually Jeffrey and Bentley.
Bentley. Okay, yeah. I apologize.
So Dustin posted it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But Bentley, it was Bentley, which he's a good kid. I love Bentley. He's from Pensacola or Milton. It's racing. How many times have you fallen and done that? I used to do it all the time.
Absolutely.
If someone, you fall, and it's part of the sport. You're gonna get taken out, and you're gonna take people out.
And that's what's gonna make other people want to watch it.
Correct. and maybe come see it and say, man, this is fun. You know, I saw the falls, but there's not as many falls as you know, in the reels or in the video.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the highlights.
Yeah.
Why
When
do
you
you
watch
NASCAR?
NASCAR on ESPN, they show the finish and they show a major crash. They're not going to show you the whole 200 lap race
because it's kind of boring.
Right.
You know, people moving in and out.
Yeah.
You know, you see the crazy, you know, maybe a crazy pass or
right.
you know, someone losing control and saving them.
Right.
But yeah, the crashes are the crazy parts. The hawks are the crazy parts.
Mm-hmm.
The little kids. That's what people want to see. They want to see the little kids. They want to see the big guys throwing crazy passes, maybe falling. I mean, that's what I mean. You don't watch boxing for them sparring against each other.
Yeah, I don't want to see them hug the whole time.
Yeah, you want to see the blood.
I want to see someone's eyes get closed. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You want to see the you know, the sweat and blood just getting.
Yeah, the face just molds and just goes sideways.
That's what you want to see.
Yeah.
That's what makes for good highlights.
Yeah.
So honestly, that video, I thought it was awesome. You know, because it's two competitors that one has been in the sport for a long time.
Yeah.
And he still can compete with the kids. And it's a kid competing against someone that he's, you know, that he might have looked up to.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's, hey, you know what? We fell, get off of me. Get off of me. Why are you on me? You know, it's part of it.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've done it. Everybody's probably done it in their life.
Yeah.
You know, in their career of skating, they've been tangled up and it's like, hey, get off them. But it happens.
Look, and I say this a lot. Actually, ironic. I'm just about to say something about him as Joey just texted me. And I was very fortunate. I started out as a figure skater. I actually started skating as a figure skater. Yeah, really? I did. My parents made me figure skate because my sister wanted to skate. So I had to figure skate. That's actually how I started skating. And then I just got to the point, it's like, I want to go fast. Like I want to be fast. And my parents
like
wouldn't
let me do it.
Yeah. And finally at 12 years old, they allowed me to start skating. And made the world team when I was 14 years old. So like I had natural ability, but I had all that experience from figure skating. And because of the things I would do there, I had great balance, which I think played well into me being a sprinter. I talked to Joey about this a little bit the other day, is you do a 20-kilometer race and you've got a lot of room to make mistakes and then correct them and get back on track. When you're doing a sprint, you don't have that. Your balance better be perfect.
It has to be perfect.
Everything, 100%. So I think for me, it played well just because I had great balance. Well, that led into the fact that I didn't fall very often. I can probably in actual races, I can pinpoint 3 times that I actually fell in races. One of them was the X Games. So that's, you know, it's not even the same thing, but one was at nationals. One was at a nationals. There was a guy named Chris Allred from down there. I
remember Chris. Yeah. He was actually he lived probably a 5-minute walk from our rink.
Yeah. Well, at the time I think he was GT Speed.
Probably. Yeah.
But he had, cause I remember it was a black uniform with like the little stripes down it. So, but anyway, I think we were like first year freshman, or maybe not, cause I don't know if I skated elementary. Anyway, he pushed me down. I had glasses. He cut the corner. I had glasses and the glasses stuck in my head and blood all over the national floor. Second one, the other race that I can fully remember was with Joey Collazo. And like he just took that chance. He threw the pass and he hit me so hard, it launched me into the trophies at the wall. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, I went 30 feet and
yep.
You know, and of course we screamed and yelled at each other and I threatened to kill him. And I was going to beat up his dad and everything else. I mean, you know, like I'm threatening everything under the sun because I was just so pissed. And then 20 minutes later, yeah, we were sitting on the side, hanging out, laughing and everything else. Just
20 minutes later, you're friends.
Yeah. We're just,
what happens on the track. And this is what people, I mean, and it's parents and coaches and all that. They have to teach more. What happens on the track stays on the track.
Absolutely.
If your competitors on the track, if your friends off the track, stay friends.
That was the number one reason that, and we talk about this a lot. You know, Fred and I were very, very close. The number one reason that we, like, the competitiveness wasn't going to go away. I mean, he's 6 months older than me, so every other year we're there. That competitive nature between the two of us was not going to go away. We're always competing for the top relays, all this other stuff. Actually, what occurred was our parents. It was my mom and his dad, them not fighting, but them kind of pitting us against each other and making it worse. And the next thing you know, that it translates off the track.
And correct, because well, my mom said this, and yeah, it sucks.
Yeah,
it sucks because I see it all day long in today too. The parents don't like each other, so the kids don't like each other.
Yeah.
But when they're over in the check-in chairs, they're talking like they're best friends.
Oh yeah.
But they can't talk to each other unless they're right there.
Right. Yeah, it's a weird thing, man. Hopefully the sport will evolve with, I mean, look, some of that kind of stuff's never going to go away. That's just,
it's
normal.
never, that's never.
That's the nature of competition. I don't care if you're in swimming or baseball or football or whatever. Those things are going to probably always be there. Parents are always going to be yelling at kids and all this other nonsense. That's just how it's going to be. I do hope that the sport evolves and grows. From the outside looking in, I think that there are some things, just from what I know, what I see, that I think could improve, be changed. And I think on both sides.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys, that you guys actually continue to grow. Hey, I may be looking at a 100-meter comeback. I don't know.
Hey, hey, all you got to do is it only takes a little bit of training to go fast. It's a start and running.
I got but like I'm like a meatball now, or just get rolling down that hill, man. It's just I do laugh about it, because when I skated, I wore I don't know if the jersey sizes have changed very much, but when I skated, I wore a medium when I was skating.
You'd be like a 2 or 3 extra.
Yeah, I'm a 2XL now, and it's like, it's the funniest thing, and it's still like super tight on me. I remember, and I'm I remember looking down, like at myself. I'm like, well, I look like a Ken doll now in this thing,
Yeah. I don't look like a 15-year-old boy. I look. Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell, But anyway, man, Jimmy, man, I think this is a good place to end it here, dude. I really appreciate you coming on, man. Dude, what you're doing with Pinnacle, I love seeing it. I love seeing all your products, all that stuff. The shells. I mean, just the fact that how you're even going in and paying the attention to the underside carbon and all the different things you do there, man. It really is beautiful craftsmanship, man. So
thank you very much. I appreciate that.
There's about 40 other things I would love to talk to you about, man, at some other time. So maybe
another day.
Yeah, we can do this again, man. But man, thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thanks for inviting me. It was, it's fun.
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to it.
Next time.
Awesome.
All right, dude.
Awesome. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.